What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Homie Hangout, where we help others move in excellence. And everybody should know that there are gay men in prison. Some of them are discreet, some of them are predatory, and some of them just kind of live out there for the whole world to see. And so I want to get into a couple things. And as with any video, there's a message in this, right? So stick around, and it won't be very long. So on a few instances, I have seen gay dudes beat the brakes off of what now would be considered active cats. When I was in prison, there was no active, inactive distinction. You were good or you weren't good, and that was kind of the end of it, right? But so a few ones, and involving different races. There was an incident in Solano with a black dude and a gay black dude, and we were going to chow, and I don't know what the issue between them was, but the dude who presented himself as not gay, he was a good sized, he was a good sized guy. The gay dude, wasn't super small, but didn't look particularly muscular, right? That dude, the gay dude, beat the brakes off of that cat. I mean, just tipped him up, and it was one of the better kind of one-on-one fights I've seen. Actually, a few incidences like this are kind of among the top 10 of one-on-one fights that I've seen in prison. And in terms of just getting whooped, like not the other person not having a chance. They both got taken to the hole. I don't know what happened to them from there. There was another incident involving Woods. Now, there was a gay dude, had very long hair, kind of carried himself kind of feminine, right? And there was another dude that looked like a classic kind of racist Wood, right? All kinds of swastikas and bolts and this and that. And this was on level 4 yard. And so the dude is walking. They're leaving a day room, and the dude is walking through the rotunda. The rotunda is the very small sort of hallway that goes from inside the day room to the yard, right? And you can close it on each end. There's a door on the yard side, and there's a door on the day room side. And that rotunda is also where COs get up into the control booth. And so we're in the day room. We're getting ready to go outside the yard, and the long-haired dude goes and stops by the water fountain where you could also get hot water, and put some hot water in one of those prison tumblers, and is then going out to the yard. So here comes racist dude, right? And so racist dude like grabs the other guy in some kind of way, and they kind of shrug him off a little bit, like, nah, fool, kick it, right? And then grabs the person's hair, grabs the gay dude's hair, right? And very long hair, grabs the gay dude's hair. That dude turned around, threw the hot water in the racist's face, right? Which is scalding hot water, and commenced to smashing him like crazy. And the dude never had a chance, right? Never had a chance. And we're sitting there watching. Myself and a couple other homeboys are pretty close to walking through, and we're like, hey, fool, kick back, right? But we're standing there watching. We ain't making no noise, right? You see a conflict in prison, man, keep your mouth shut and try to not to make the spot hot, for they can do whatever they're doing. And so they wind up breaking it up. They close off both sides of the rotunda. They break them up. And here's the crazy part. So they both get snatched up off the yard, but the gay dude comes back to the yard, and the other guy does not. I'm assuming he goes to the hole. He does not come back to the yard. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this gay dude is going to get stabbed, right? Like, because in my mindset, they just took, if you'd want to consider it like a solid wood, off the yard. He appeared to be a solid wood. I had observed him on the yard before, and he seemed to have some respect amongst his people and whatnot. He was a little Jay Caddis, but a lot of them dudes are, if I'm just being honest. And so I was like, man, this individual took away one of their people, right? And gay men in prison are not regarded with much respect, right, or status, right? the common term in prison for somebody that's gay is a punk, right? And I've heard that from my family since I was a little kid. But so looking at it that way, I'm like, oh, they're gonna remove this person and they're probably gonna stab him, right? No, no, it doesn't happen. The gay dude stays on the yard, and nothing happens. Like for the rest of the time that I seen him, so we're talking months, nothing happened, and that was shocking. And so the last kind of scenario I'll bring up is somebody I've seen in some of the comments lately, and so some of you guys that have done time from Northern California are familiar with this name, and that is Rachel, right? Rachel from Stockton. That's obviously not the name they were born with, but I don't know what that name is. I used to know, I forgot, and I don't really care, right? If you want to go by Rachel, go by Rachel. I don't care. And so Rachel in Solano, we were on, we are on the level 3 side. There's 2 yards that are level 3, 1 yard and 2 yard. I was on 1 yard. So there was a conflict between the Northerners and another group segment on 2 yard, right, which is also level 3. And Rachel got active. It was well known. It is well known through the system that Rachel got hands, right? And my understanding is it came up in Stockton within a family that has some real affiliation, if you want to put it that way, behind the wall. And so there was a desire to kind of toughen them up, right? And so Rachel got put in Golden Glove boxing from a very young age and became a prolific fighter. And then I'm assuming because of the lifestyle on the streets, drug use, prostitution, that kind of thing, probably got put in some situations where like you gotta learn how to defend yourself. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. But what I do know is that motherfucker got hands. And so they was getting off. Like Rachel was getting off, knocking people from the other group segment out on the basketball court, running around the yard. And that's always been what I've heard about Rachel, right? And even in the comments, you'll see other people that was politicking in prison. You know what I'm saying? That ran across Rachel in some lower security level yards at one time, and will say the same thing. And so Rachel goes to the hole and then comes to our yard. And as I've said about Solano, it wasn't a no good yard, but it was a lenient yard to say the least. And so, and there was a handful of gay dudes on that yard that were very outgoing, right, from different races. Like I said, the black incident was also in Solano before. So Rachel comes over to our yard and kind of kicks it and does his thing, right? There was no issue on our yard that Rachel was involved in, or even just that the North was involved in. But Rachel was very clear: if it jumps off, I'm in there, right? I'm with it, and everybody kind of, the folks that have been around the system kind of knew that. Interesting thing with Rachel. So on level 4 yards, you will not find somebody from the North or somebody from the South specifically that identify outwardly as a gay dude, and they stay on the yard. That just wouldn't happen, right? And so I've been up to Salinas Valley for a while. I went down to Vacaville for a med and return case just to have surgery and go back. And so while I was down there recovering from the surgery, waiting for the doctors to give me the okay to go back to Salinas, guess who pulls up? Rachel. And so I'm like, man, and I was really trying to stay out of the mix at Vacaville because it's a very funny, at least at that time, it's a very funny style prison in terms of who's there and who stays there and how they operate, right? And so I wasn't trying to get in trouble, told on, whatnot. Like I didn't give a shit what was happening there for the most part. And so I tried to stay out of the fray. Look, man, I just want to go back to a level 4 yard and do my thing. So Rachel pulls up and people in the wing start getting at me. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? And I'm like, who's we? You know what I mean? Like, and so Rachel comes to my cell, right? My little like dorm thing. And it's like, hey, look, Rascal, I know there's some questions about me, there's some talk about me. I've been around a long time. And I ask you a favor. don't let my career end here. Like that would be embarrassing, all the stuff I've been through. And there had been attempts to remove Rachel on other yards. And all of those attempts resulted in the people sent to remove them being smashed. Like they're just being smashed. And so I think at some point people were just kind of like, man, this whatever. Again, on the level 4 yards, that would not have been okay, whatever. But so I said, look, we got policies against homosexual activity. Technically, it doesn't say you can't be gay. It says you can't engage in gay behaviors, right? Same-sex behaviors. So as long as I don't catch wind of you engaging in those behaviors with anybody, right? With BISAs, with whoever, because that was a group segment that really took an interest in people like Rachel, right? And so I said, then I don't care. Like, I don't even want to be here. You know what I mean? So I'm not tripping. You don't put me in a bad spot. And you know, I'm not tripping. And so I wasn't there for very long. I actually wound up getting validated shortly after that and went to the hole. But also at that time, they had moved all those people that were like taking hormones and stuff. They had moved them all to a separate area in Vacaville. I don't know where. And so it became kind of a non-issue. I don't know how the prisons are dealing with folks like that now. It's not something I'm really care about, to be honest. But the point of this story, right? And I told you it'd be short, man. We're like 10 minutes in. The point of this is there is this idea that gay men are weak, right? Or that they're that way because they're scared or they're submissive, or like I said, the word in prison that's used over and over is punks, right? Like, man, they're just punks. I don't know every gay person in the world, right? But I can tell you I've seen some gay convicts that were not punks in that sense of the word, right? Like they were with the business. And I remember I was talking to somebody about it after one of those incidents. I was talking to a homeboy and I was like, "Damn, motherfucker got hit." And he was like, "Look, because they probably got into all kinds of stuff growing up and all kinds of stuff in the streets. A lot of them are on drugs. And so you better know how to fight or you're just going to be a victim." And I thought, man, that's a good point, right? And that's how a lot of us from the neighborhood learn how to fight. You know what I mean? By being put in situations that are violent, you know, and somebody comes to sock you in the mouth, you got to be prepared to sock them back. Otherwise, you're going to get socked in the mouth every day of your life. And folks are going to take advantage of you. So there's that. And I want to make a kind of statement real quick. I have some gay folks, men and women, who watch this channel, that are subscribed to this channel. And I have some gay folks in my family, and I have some friends that identify as gay or lesbian or whatever, you know, just LGBTQ, that category, right? I don't pretend to know all the terms, and I don't pretend to know what those distinctions are necessarily, but that identify that way. And I respect and love them, right? They're family, or they're, you know, they're friends. And so with that being said, and with some of the feedback I've gotten from people watching the channel, like, man, I really like your content, but the jokes, right? And this is something that I'm not innocent in either. You know, I'm 45, and it's funny, my kids go to school, and the idea of making fun of people because their sexuality or whatever is just foreign to them. Like, they're growing up in a time where it just doesn't make sense, right? My daughter's a good friend at school is a dude who has some feminine characteristics, right? And I'm like, man, doesn't he get teased or picked on or bullied? And she's like, no, why? And she couldn't understand why his demeanor or how he kind of identifies would be caused to be mocked and ridiculed. She just doesn't get it. And so youngsters now are growing up in a different time, man, thankfully, right? I don't support discrimination. I don't support prejudice of any kind. But me growing up, and I think a lot of us, so I didn't even know anybody that that I thought was gay or whatever, right? Technically, I probably did because I knew a lot of people, but they weren't out there like that. So them jokes and them, it's just how it goes in the neighborhood, or how it went. And I want this to be a comfortable place for everybody, man. I don't want somebody to like the content, but feel like whenever they look through the comments or on some lives where we're joking and it's gay boy gangsters and it's this and it's, sugar in the tank and all this other stuff, which again is stuff that I've participated in. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. I don't want my kids to watch one of my videos and hear me and some of you guys clowning around like that and walk away like, damn, dad's a bigot, because that's how they would see it. And so I ask everybody, man, whatever your feelings, whatever your views are, I'm not trying to convert anybody to any mindset or whatever. I really don't care. And it's not really my business. But in terms of the comments and in terms of the conversation on this platform, moderators are gonna delete those comments, man. And if that's all you ever say, then yeah, you're gonna wind up, probably kicking rocks. I don't have anybody that I know of that only makes comments like that. So I don't think that shoe fits anybody right now. But I get it. I get why this stuff is kind of humorous and seems like not a big deal. But I also get that for some people, man, it's painful and it's disrespectful and we're cutting down their humanity, right? And so I don't want to do that, man. Just like you can come on here and rep your hood, rep your affiliation, rep whatever, and not be made to feel as less of a person or less of value or anything else. Like, we don't set trip like that. I would like for people in the LGBTQ community to also have that same feeling of like, hey, nobody tripping off me, and so yeah, that's all. My content, the type of content I do, is not going to change. That's what I do. But I think we can be more respectful. That's my point. So anyways, help others move with excellence, man. That's what homies do. Help yourself at the same time, because you're worth it. Stay tuned. There's lots of content. I'll put little links, man. Check out the channel, and much love to all the new subscribers, man. The number's been going up lately. And so if you're a new one, man, I appreciate you. Take care.